Cadence of conflict, Asia, November 18, 2019. America and China are getting fed up with China and America being fed up with each other. Americans tried patience and negotiations. That didn't work. China hid its agenda for global domination, denouncing so-called interference, except when China did the interfering. Now, China's true colors are showing, and it looks like a lot of debt. Municipalities and local governments are buried in debt, which is eating at China's central economy like Asian ants on a morning worm. Amid riots and threats, encroachments by police on university campuses, and by China upon Hong Kong rule, the primary issue in Hong Kong is the upcoming revolution election in March. On October 4, Hong Kongers declared the current government already nullified and that interim government elections would take place in March. That election is not the primary concern for most reports coming out of Hong Kong, if it gets mentioned at all. But that election should be the primary concern of China, the United States, and the current and denounced Hong Kong government. Perhaps those upcoming elections have not been taken seriously, and if so, that would be perhaps the most serious miscalculation. But rather than carefully calculating the right way forward, China is more concerned with optics. Not with causing good optics, but with countering bad optics with more mere optics. The same plague from the Black Death has reemerged in China's Inner Mongolia province. Historically, whether in 541, 1347, or 1849, the plague always had its origins in the Far East. Rather than promptly confronting the source, the Chinese are basically doing what the San Francisco government did in the early 1900s, covering it up. Even Chinese soldiers play the optics game. Chinese Communist PLA soldiers are not allowed to leave their garrisons in Hong Kong without a formal request from Hong Kong's government. But they did anyway, to clear streets blocked by protesters. They didn't clash with protesters. They simply picked up stuff in the street, mostly bricks. They weren't armed, nor did they wear fatigues. They wore running shorts and OD green t-shirts, the same that they exercise in on a daily basis. But they weren't invited by the Hong Kong government. As a result, their presence was technically illegal, though seemingly helpful in the minds of some residents who want to drive down the street. Interestingly, the unarmed, seemingly harmless soldiers were accompanied by cameras. It was a publicity stunt. Voices in the British Commonwealth are especially concerned because this beautiful, warm, kind-hearted photo op sets a precedent of PLA soldiers breaching Hong Kong illegally. Chinese thinking puts logic before law, which feels like justice at first, but then operates with no standard of conduct, deciding right and wrong from one moment to the next. In other words, Beijing thinks that China's soldiers must not enter Hong Kong uninvited, unless they want to. And that's the cadence of the conflict already seen in the Pacific.